For this tutorial, then, I want to show you how to add furniture to the building. Now, if you look at my building, it is not complete, and that's okay because it doesn't matter at what point I choose to add furniture. Sometimes you add furniture, and that helps you decide where it is that you might put some openings. So either is going to work. Um, so let's go to the warehouse, and you'll come up here to Window, and from Window, you'll go to 3D Warehouse. And when you go to 3D Warehouse here, you'll notice that it pops it open for me right away. And that's because I'm signed in. But let me show you what will happen if I sign out, if it'll let me. I don't know if it will or not. Um, let's see. I don't think I can replicate this because it's got me signed in. Yeah, that's me going home. Anyway, um, when you log in for the first time, it will want you to log yourself in. Please use the Gmail account that you're sharing with me to sign yourself in. And this will give you access to the 3D warehouse. And these are all components that other people have uploaded and manufacturers have also uploaded. So these are really nice. I mean, look at this. It's got a cooktop base cabinet. And this one is SketchUp content. So you can trust SketchUp content, and it's other content that you kind of have to be really mindful of, because if other users are uploading, they may be focusing on other parts of the model different than what you might be doing. They're novices also sometimes, so maybe they don't have the unit set up the right way. So just little things to watch out for. So with that said, I want to look for a sofa. So I'm just going to come up here in the search, and I'm going to type sofa and enter. Give it a moment to load. And you'll see that it shows me models. There's also catalogs, and then there's also collections. And these are provided by manufacturers and also by other people. So I just stay over here on the side where it says models on the tab, and I start looking for sofas. And these sofas, there's a lot of information, a lot of sofas available. Some of them are high quality, meaning that you can really see the cushions and all that. But I try to stay away from them if they have too much detail, because sometimes they're actually imported in from other software and they're not native to SketchUp. And then the other thing I like to do is I like to come up here to the filters, and I click on the filters because I need to narrow this down. I can't have a large file size. That's just going to slow the system down. And then the polygon count also needs to be low. So for the file size, I'm going to click right here, and it's a slider bar. And I'm just going to slide it over. And I like to keep it under 5 megs if I can. And I'm going to click apply. So now it's going to find all files that are that have a sofa that are under 5 megs. And then the other thing I like to do, go back to the filters, and that is the polygon count. So I like to keep that low also. Now, I'm not able to drag this slider over, so I'm going to click here where it says up to 10K. So no more than 10,000 polygons, in other words, faces. So I'm going to click apply here, and that brings the files also to a limited quantity, and that's what I want. So the simpler the file, the better. So this one right here, I'm a little leery of using that because, I mean, it is a small file size, but the polygon count here is a little high. This sofa here is 341 kilobyte, and then it has 416 polygons. So that might work, but I'm going to scroll through here and see what other options I have. And maybe this one can work also, or that one. And I'm just looking through to see what's available. And if I look at this one, it says Sofa Prestige, small file size and small polygon count, so that might work too. But let me come up here, and I'll take this one. No, 3-seater. I'll borrow the 3-seater because we did a 3-seater too. So I'm gonna click on that. Small file size, less than a meg, half a meg, and then it is a little high on the polygon. Let's see what happens here. So I'm gonna give this a click, and then it shows me the preview. And then I can always click on 3D preview and then click where it says view in 3D. Just pausing for a moment while it loads that. And then it's just a matter of clicking and dragging. You can orbit about the model. So this is really nice. And then I can zoom in a little bit also, and I can see what it looks like. And if I like it, I will go ahead and click over here where it says download. So I'm going to click on download, and then it says load this directly into your model. The answer is yes. So I'll bring it in, and I just pause for a second, and you can see it coming in. So I'm going to let it go on face in group. I'll give that a click. And you'll notice this model, you see what they did? It's been rotated. So I need to rotate it to put it in place. So let me go ahead and tap the escape key and then just zoom in here. Sorry, I thought I tapped the escape key. Let me tap the space bar. Zoom in and just take a look at that piece of furniture. So it might have a lot of detail assigned to it. And see how the edges here do have detail. So this is why it might be high on the polygon count. And then I zoom in a little bit more just to get a good look at that. So it can work. Now, and here's the polygons. This is what I meant. Sorry, let me come over here. See all of these different faces. So something tells me that they may have used another software to do this, and that's okay. We're able to use it in SketchUp, and that's what matters. Um, but if you don't like it, you can always just start over, delete this, and look for another sofa. But let's say I keep this one, and I'm going to use it because it's angled here. Um, and what I'm going to try to do is double click inside of it. And when I double click, now I'm going to see that it is still a nested group, and they rotated it here. So I'm going to click outside of it, and then I'm going to give it one click. And I'm going to right click, and I'm going to explode. And once I explode, now you can see what it's doing. Now, all of a sudden, I think I have a little bit more control over it. But I'm also going to try to double click in here. And then I'm going to click one time. And it's still a block within a block. So these are the things just to be careful. But it says that this is probably just the cushions. So let me try something. I'm going to type M for move. And yeah, see, the cushions are a separate uh, group here. So I almost I almost exploded that, and that would not have been good. But see, this is me breaking it down. And by the way, you can see me moving it out of the way, and look at the sofa structure for now, the wood there. This is what they mean about these different faces. So just keep that in mind. I'll tap the escape key, and I guess that's as far as I want to kind of explode it. I will tap the space bar, I will click outside of it, and this is the sofa. So now I want to rotate it. So I will go to the rotate tool, or Q is the keyboard shortcut. So I type Q, and I will use the up arrow so that it stays on the blue axis. And then I'll just click right. Oh, I guess I clicked where I shouldn't have. Let me start again. Uh, right here, if it'll let me pick that. No, it doesn't let me pick that face or that group. Interesting. I'll give it a click here, and then I'll angle it this way. No, it's not going to do it exactly the way I want to. And then I want to rotate it that way. So I'm going to try something a little different here. And let's go to this side. And let's see if I can pick something like an edge or something. So up arrow key. And it looks like it did find that intersection. I'm going to zoom in a little more to see what's going on. Yeah, like that endpoint. See, I pick that endpoint, give that a click, and then I'll just drag it over this way. And it looks like it wants to find that edge, which I hope it's finding the right edge. And then I'll rotate. And not quite, but close enough. Close. And then I'll just straighten this out. Let me just pan over, straighten it out this way. More or less is what I want. And then from here, I can go ahead and just put it, I'll type M for move, and I'll place it right here. And notice how it's all of a sudden changing, right? Because I may have picked in the wrong spot. So let's try again. Tap the escape key. And this time, instead of picking on the object, I'll just pick on the face of the group here, which is the floor, and I'll just move it in that direction. So you just have to be mindful of where you're picking. So I want some room behind the window, so I'll put it right there. Okay. And the more I study this or look at this component that I brought in, I I get the feeling that it was created in a different program because SketchUp just it wouldn't do these things, or they may have been using some plugins to get these shapes to work out in SketchUp. I don't know. But those are just little visual clues and hints that I have that I just have to be mindful of it. All right. So you can bring other sofas, you can bring tables in like that. And then if you're going to be putting objects in your kitchen, I'm going to go back now and to the warehouse and bring in some kitchen items. So I'll go to Window, 3D Warehouse, and then I'm going to type kitchen. And then you'll see right away there are like entire kitchen layouts ready to be used. And I'm going to work with the filters because I want to bring the file size down. I'm going to see if there's anything less than 5 megs. And you'll notice, let's go to 5 megs. Apply that. And then I'll go back to the filters and the polygon count. I want to keep it under 10K, so up to is fine. All right. So this looks like it'll work. Now, my kitchen layout might look different than this layout, but that's all right because a lot of times these are individual block, and I keep saying blocks. They're individual groups. Look at this kitchen. It just has all these different parts. There's this kitchen. So having used these before, I'm pretty sure that they're just put together as a unit, and I should be able to break it apart. So let me borrow this one for a second. And I did look at the file size, and I looked at the polygon count, so it's not too bad. It'll be fine. I do want to, let's see, view in 3D. It does take a second to load. Got to be a little patient here, and then I can orbit. So yeah, similar to what I plan on using. So then I'll go ahead and click on download. And then it says load into the model. Yes, bring it in. And remember, our building is up 1'6". So if I drop in this component out here, it's going to be at 0. The blue axis is going to be equal to 0. You see that? And then you're going to have to move it up. So I find it easier to just work inside the building, let it snap to that face. And if you need to, angle it a little bit so it all fits in there. And I'll just give this a click right here. All right, that's the group of objects. Now tap the space bar. And what I want to do now, I want to take a better look at this. In fact, I want to flip it. So with that still selected, I'll come up here to my flip tool and I'll just flip it about the red axis. Done. And then tap the escape key, tap the space bar, and then move it back in that direction. Only because that's where I want my kitchen to be, in that corner. I'm not putting anything together yet. Now, the next thing to do here, I will tap the space bar, and then I'm going to double click in the group. So now I'm in the group, and I'll show you. View, component edit. Let's hide the rest of the model so we can focus on just this. Okay. Now I want to see if the refrigerator is its own component or its own group. I give it a click. It is. That's great. And then what about these cabinets? Nope, that one is not separate. That is its own group, but it's not a whole unit that's together. Let me zoom in here a little bit more. What about the countertop? That looks like it's its own set of groups. If I double click in that, now I get this counter and that counter. So you can see I won't be able to separate those out. So maybe the only thing useful here for me is the refrigerator, because everything else doesn't really seem to be in a group. But now I have that. So if I double click, you see how it shows those units. And again, this is how the individual chose to arrange everything. If you don't like that, you can fix it. You can explode these. You can manipulate them because they're in your model now. So whatever you'd like to do, you're more than welcome to. I'm just going to tap the escape key because this is me just studying the component that was brought in. This is an oven here. If I double click the oven, what do I get? It is an oven, but it looks like the oven and the sink and the range are all one. But I can try and double click in here and see if that's its own. And it looks like it is. That's also its own group. So if I wanted to, here, let me click outside of everything. If I wanted to give this one click, I can right click and explode. And then it starts breaking everything down. And for some reason, they included some dimensions here. I was not aware of that. So they're there, and that's all right. Looks like they went away now. So you can break this down into parts and pieces. And then if you look at your components, if you look in your model, give this icon a click here, you'll see that everything is in there. So I don't have to use this directly. I can scroll down here and see if, yeah, it's all separate. You see, this is group number 76. So if I wanted to, I can give that a click and then I can bring it in like this and place it anywhere I want. And then basically tap the escape key here, space bar, click on this, actually click on all that, delete it, click on this, triple click it, delete, and I guess I should not have exploded it, but I did. And you can just start deleting stuff away. Yeah. Okay. Uh, don't need that one because I just kind of brought it in. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the lasso tool, lasso select, and I'm just going to window my objects here. And it's only the objects that are in the window that will be selected. And then I can tap the delete key. All right. So then I'll go back, window, and I'll go to my 3D warehouse. Might still show me kitchens. It's just showing me that one. So I'll go ahead and type up here, kitchen. Go to the filters, file size. Maybe I will go up to 10. Polygon count, also up to 10. Apply that. See what's available. All right. So other options here. Looks like this might be individual cabinet work. So this takes a little bit of time. I'm not gonna lie. It's yeah. It's still quicker though than drawing it yourself. But if you feel like drawing all this casework, all these cabinets for yourself, by all means, you're more than welcome to. I try to go with like the simpler stuff. Um, let's see. Sorry, I'm just trying to go quick here. Find some casework, cabinets. I don't know. This one, I'm gonna give that one a try. And I'm not even gonna 3D preview it. And I'm just gonna download it. And it says load into your model, yes. And then I'll bring it in. Oh, and also brought in the walls. Cool. I'll put it right here. And yes, it's a little big for my liking, but now I'm going to study it and give it a double click. I'm in the group now. Yeah, see, that's its own unit. What about this? Nope. That's a separate door, separate door. That refrigerator is its own unit. Um, maybe I like this range. That counter is separate. That's fine. Casework down here. I'm going to type M for move, and that's just the front door. What about what's hiding behind it? Is that separate? Sorry, I'm just going to go under here and study this a second. Space bar, click on that, move that, the feet. Oh, the whole thing. Yeah. So see, looks like what they're doing in this one, similar to the other one, is they're making the cabinet work separate from the face. So if I wanted to, let me tap the escape key and start over, double click, pick that door, and then hold down the control key, pick that cabinet, that casework, and now watch this. Just type M for move, and see, I can move it all together as one here, bring it out, and I'm just putting it here. I'm just playing around with this now. And if I wanted to, I can right click the objects here and I can make a group out of that. So then I can use this throughout my kitchen if I wanted to. And then if I just want this as its own group, I'm going to do a Control X and then tap the space bar and then click away from it. And then I'm just going to take this away. I'm just going to delete for a second so we don't see it. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a Control V to paste. And there's my cabinet. So I'm kind of extracting information as needed. And then if I don't like the material, I'm going to tap the space bar. I'm going to double click in here. That's its own group. So I'm going to see if I can change the material. So I'll go over here to my materials. Maybe I just want a solid color instead of wood. So I'll look at my colors and give me 1 second because I'm not seeing what I want. There we go. Solid colors. And let's say I want to go with something like this color here. So I have that selected and then I click here and I can paint it. I can also try to paint this group. It looks like that'll work. So I'm able to change it. Sometimes if you can't, then just double click into the group and then click on one of the faces. And if you see that the face has a material applied to it here, then that means that they did a direct application of it. But if it's still set to default, that means that it's just going to take on the color of the group. So we're good here. But let me show you what would happen if I wasn't. So here, if I just take this color and I apply it there. See that? So now notice, you see that the front face has a material, but the back face does not. I can click in that material here and then scroll up to the top and just say, give me the default paint. And default means nothing. So I can clear that. All right. Tap the escape key, space bar, click outside of that, and then click outside of that. And I can start using these materials, or rather these groups. All right. So that's how you can start populating. But again, if you see your model, if you start slowing down as you're orbiting, as you're zooming and panning, then you know that you've added a lot of content. Um, and then I need to show you how to purge. But before I do that, I also want to show you how to make your own components here. And I don't know if we've done this yet, but the bifold doors here, real quick, just kind of switching gears here for just a moment. I need to look at my tags. And by the way, when you start to bring in those components, it's going to bring in the tags also. So you're going to see some odd names here. And this is just what other people have named their tags. And sometimes you have some really odd characters here, and I don't know why that happens. But just keep that in mind. You did nothing wrong. That's just how it came in, and that's all right. I want to turn on my A plan, and I can see the plan there, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, let's see. I did not add my bifolds, did I? No. Oh, I added a bifold here. So let's work with that one. And I'm going to turn off my walls. Nope, this is not on the 3D walls. I have to pick that tag. Let's put you on 3D walls and then go ahead and turn off that tag. Okay, so I'm going to work with this bifold door here right now. And I just want to trace that. So I'm going to draw a line. And by the way, if the materials are getting in your way, because I added a different material here, just change your style or display mode. So that puts it at, let's see, what is that? It's all using the same. This one is using textures. This one here is going to be shade mode. So it's just a shade of color. So your pick. And I think I want to go back and say all the same. And then I'll draw a rectangle from this endpoint to that endpoint, over here, over there, and there. And that should have filled in. But again, they're all the same. So it's not showing me a difference. So let me go over here to the solid colors, and it's there. There we go. But remember, it's coplanar, so it's hard to see. And maybe I should turn off that base. So 3D base, I think that's what I called it. There we go. Now I can see it a little better. All right, and then I'll draw the other rectangle. And I used the pencil, but now let's see if I can actually use the rectangle tool In the older versions of SketchUp, it wanted to, yeah, it's still doing the same thing here, so it's not going to work. So I will have to draw a line. Sometimes it'll acknowledge that it's at a 45. This time it's not. Sorry. L for line. I'll start here, go there, and then finish that off. Okay. Then I will tap the space bar. And then I should be able to triple click, but let's see. Yeah, triple click selects everything. All right, but I don't want to do anything with it yet because I want to convert this to a component, not a group. So P for push pull. Take this up 6 feet 8. That's your residential door height. I'll take this also, click on that, take it up 6 feet 8. Done. And I think this was the 2-foot door. Okay, so now that that's done, I'm going to triple click, picks everything, right click, and this time instead of making a group, I'm going to make a component. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to give this a generic name. I'm going to call this one bifold door, and then click on create. So this is now a component, not a group. And the nice thing about components is that if I make a copy of this, I'm going to type M for move over here and tap the control key, put it right there. If I make a change to one component, then it affects all copies of that component in my model. So watch this. Double click the group and notice it's showing me the other component. And that's because under view, component edit, you see where it says hide similar components? I have that turned off. So it's not hiding that similar component. That's why I'm seeing it there. So I'll tap away from that, tap the escape key, and then I will type P for push pull. Let's see. Yeah, P. And watch this. I start to take this down and look what it's doing to the other component. It's changing it. So components are really nice. They're a lot like AutoCAD blocks, where if I change one version of the block, then it changes all versions of that block in that same drawing file. So this is very helpful. And now I'm going to turn on my 3D walls. And I'm going to take that closet door, bifold door, and I'm going to move it into place. And I'm just going to type M for move from this endpoint over here to this endpoint. And then I'm going to rotate. So Q is the keyboard shortcut, up arrow, pick that endpoint, rotate it. And it's going to be a full 180. Let's see, or is it 90? Yeah, I think it's going to be 90. So I'm going to type 90, enter. So I've got that door there. Sorry, I zoomed out too far. This happens in SketchUp a lot, and then you have to roll that wheel mouse several times. Okay, and then I can either copy over to the other side, or I can flip it using the midpoint, whatever works for you. I'm just going to type M for move. I'm going to pick this endpoint here, tap the control key, and just move it over to the opposite side. All right. So again, if I make a change to one of these set of bifold doors, it's changing them all. Here, for example, I'll double click and then P for push pull and see what it does. It's nice. But then I want you to be very mindful of one thing when you tap out of this, okay? Let's say you want to put a material on the door. Let me switch this over so that it shows me, let's see, the photorealistic materials. I'll cancel that message. What did I do? Maybe I want this. No, maybe I want using textures. Or what do I want? Shade mode. Something isn't working here. Where are my materials? 1 second. Where's my base? Oh, okay, they're there. Just didn't realize it. All right, my mistake. All right, so let's say I come over here to my materials now. And let me just pick a color. And just looking in the range of those brown colors, warm tones. Give me 1 second. All right, how about this one? Might be a little dark. Oh no, I'll pick that one. All right, so if I take this color and I apply it here, notice how it only applies it to one of the components. If I pick a different color, I can apply it to that component. So that's nice. But if you want all of them to be the same color, then here's what you do. Edit undo and then edit undo again. All right. Then tap the spacebar, double click inside, and now I'm in that group, and now I triple click, and then I select my color, my material, and then I apply it. And then it applies it to all. And that's because I'm making a direct change to that object, to those set of objects. Let me tap the spacebar and then just click on that one face. And you'll see up here that I did an override on that face color. Now, if I decide to change to yellow, or this dandelion burst color, and I click on my objects, it doesn't take on that color because I've overridden the default. So be real careful with that, just to be able to tell the difference between that. So it actually did take the color, you just can't see it, and I'll show you how I can change it so it's visible. I'm going to go back into my component, triple click, and then I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to click on the material that's currently applied, and then I'm going to change it back to the default, and then click OK, and then click outside of it, and there it is. That's the color because I did apply it, but now that I put everything back to default, now it takes the color. So those are the little things to be mindful of with these components, but in general, they save you a lot of time because, like the doors, draw them once or model them once, and then you can use them all the time. All right, so that was the little thing I wanted to show you. So that's a component, and when you bring these objects in here, these are also components, which means that they existed in a separate file, but now that they're part of this file, they're recognized as components. So just want to share that out. I'll leave it at that. At some point, I probably should have saved earlier, but now's a good time to save. So File, Save, and then oh, I'm glad this question comes up. You see where it says Purge Unused? Now that you are starting to bring in a lot of information, a lot of these 3D models from the warehouse, now's a good time to purge them out. So it says it has unused components, materials, environments, and all this. Purging them may improve performance. You can say yes. However, I hold off doing that until the very, very, very end because I may lose some materials that I want to be using. So I'm going to click no for now. And then at some point, when you want to purge everything out, you come up here to Window, you go to Model Info. In Model Info, you go to, I think it's Statistics. Yes, in Statistics, it's showing you like all this information. And then you can click on Purge Unused. But again, I have 109 materials. I don't know if it's going to delete all of them or purge them all out, so I hesitate. And see where it says entire models? I can even switch it to only components. And only components, here we go. There's the bifold door, there's the group, there's my DWG. If I purge these out, they're gone. So just, I wouldn't do it until the very end. Once you have all your materials used, then good to go. So this is where you would find it. All right. And if you encounter any problems, like something's happening with the model, you can always click here where it says fix problems. This kind of checks the model to make sure that everything's okay. And it should be helpful, but not always a need for that. So I'll close out and then you can go ahead and save again if you'd like. So that's how you'll add your warehouse objects. There's no need for you to draw all of them. Focus on modeling your walls, your doors, your windows, and then go ahead and borrow content from 3D Warehouse. And it's also possible for you to upload content if you wanted to. So I'll leave it at that. One more time, File, Save, and then I'll continue to model. I'm going to say no to this. And at this point, I'm just going to say, don't ask me again. I'm going to click no because now I've shown you where you could go to purge the file. So no it is, and don't ask again. Okay, and I will leave it at that.